Instagram and go live.
Yes. Hey guys, my name is Raw Sky. This is Marabella. This is the Raw Magic podcast. And we this week are talking about the new religion, the new church. So we will get into that. Hey Marabella.
Hey Sky, how are you today?
I am very excited about this. I'm a little tender. I've got a rib which is maybe broken or something's going on there, but I'm good.
I'm trying to go live here on Instagram. Am I live? Are we live?
I don't know. I can't see your side. It looks like you're connected from this side.
I am. Okay. Yeah. I'm so excited about this topic. When Sky said we were going to do this, I was just so excited. And you have the new religion, but we also talked about like mysticism and the difference. If you want to talk about the difference between mysticism and religion. I wasn't sure which way we were going to go with this, but this is this is like a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. I think for me, as time goes on, I feel more and more comfortable like in my skin and with my spirituality. And I think that I feel super comfortable just in my connection with some people say God, some people call it the universe, but in my connection with God and in the way that I connect in, I always think of mysticism more as that connection in and the feeling you get. And I think of religion as like the going to church and to like all the steps and religiosity of the religion. And I think of mysticism as like the freedom and the connecting in with the spirituality. How about you? How do you see the difference?
So I just Googled I went to ChatGPT. So
I did too.
mysticism is the belief or pursuit. And this is what was coming up when you were talking, actually. The mysticism is the belief or pursuit of a direct personal experience of divine spiritual reality or deeper truth beyond ordinary physical experience. Now, I think people have to understand that my confidence in what I do comes from what I've experienced in my awakening or when I was homeless or split with reality, and the fact that that experience physically, emotionally, and spiritually is what healed me. So you can't argue with that. So a lot of people can come online and be like, oh, there's this fact and this fact about what religion is, or I studied this, or science says this. And I'm like, no. I walked the science and I walked the mass and what the masses believe path. And I can show you photos of me. I look like I'm near death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I pulled away and just had basically nature and universe driving the ship, because that's all I could do, I was really incapacitated, I healed myself. So for me, it's not even like an argument. And that's what a belief is, my whole soul. Whereas before, I think I used to have the word believe across my bed the whole time I was sick, is I didn't know what was there, but I believed there was something. And now I know. And I think mysticism has this connotation of like witches and like woo-woo, but literally, and I guess I don't talk about it as much because it does sound woo-woo to many people, is that love or that opening of the universe to me is what healed me. Raw foods is a physical representation of me being as close as I can to source, in the pure fact that I knew to eat like packages and keep moving away from, and this is very spiritual, away from dried packaged food.
Yes.
I could feel, and this to me is what was, because so many people, and I've been there, so many people want to heal with a protocol, as in like, is it the greens? Is it the pepper? Is it the fruit? If you eat light packages, you're getting pure light codes. It cannot be in a packet.
Yes.
If you want to experience spirit, eat whatever it is in a fresh form. You don't get blocked. And blocks are important, I think, when you're healing. I am now past that acute existential crisis, spiritual awakening stage, and I'm coming back into grounding and giving of service, and that looks different. But if people knew the power of light packages in nature, all day in nature, that is where you learn who you are. And this
Yeah.
is what we're talking about, right? I will change it to mysticism on the screen.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I love this part of your healing. This makes me so excited about how just that little bit of sunlight, and then how you couldn't cook, so you just started to eat your food raw. And it's such a key to happiness, joy, feeling good in your body. When just for this for an example, just to show you, I like the difference between an energy drink and a green juice.
Oh,
Um, someone made me a drink, an energy drink with some, um, I don't know, mint. It was actually delicious, but I felt oppressed when I drank it. And I felt so horrible, horrible for 2 days. And I felt like, um, my thoughts were off. Old old patterns of trauma came back to me. It was hard to get to the feeling grateful thoughts. And then when I drink the green juice, automatically I feel so naturally good. Not like abnormally high or anything like that, but just like really good in my body. It's so incredible that God has placed like these foods for us that we can pick, that we can eat. And that is all we need to feel so tuned in and so good. Yay, she's got her green juice. Ah.
always, I
And
live for it.
yeah, yeah. And there's certain things like with the zucchini that I put in my green juice, zucchini, cucumber. You just feel a sense of contentment. And it's like you can't get it wrong. So it's, eat the cucumbers. If they don't agree with you, then try something else. Like there's such an array to choose from that we don't need really anything else. We can just figure out what's right for us rather than, reaching for some substance that's in a box. And I just love that part of your story of how there was that little bit of sunlight coming in and you would just put your feet on the grass. And even just that little bit was enough to start your healing. I just want everyone to hear that because we think we need to go to the doctor. I mean, nothing wrong with doctors. There's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
But we can do so much of our own healing just by stepping out on the grass barefoot, by eating plant-based, going into the grocery store and staying in the fruit and vegetable section and choosing, the highest vibration, whatever you're drawn to, the colors you're drawn to. There's so much in that. I know. And that's like a mystical, probably way of thinking. But so connecting in and getting to the feeling of what mysticism is.
But I think that's what I try so hard to get across with my story, is the fact that no particular food fixed me. Is that if you put light packages in and you get rid of blocks, I think when you're that unwell and that unstable, is you can't handle even like adding things like tamara. And there's different levels. Of course, I use those things, but predominantly what healed me was God, was the fact these light packages. It didn't really matter, even if I bloated or swelled. And the reason we overthink it is because we eat this indoors. Is if you need to, and this is very different to healing than being a raw vegan. Like raw vegan is forever for me. There'll be different stages and different things, and I work on different parts of myself. But predominantly, all I did was make sure is whenever I could, be near a window, be near sunlight. If not, my apartment, I put Himalayan salt rocks. Like I tried to make indoors like outdoors because when I had to be in there, Himalayan
Yes.
rocks on the floor. And these are all really cheap things. I almost
Yeah.
feel like God showed me the blueprint, like literally showed me the blueprint to heal. But the problem is not everybody is there yet. And the problem is there's definitely different stages to it. But if you could take anything away from completely healing myself of it, was that my mind didn't work. I literally just knew that I ate the light and I would just be guided along the way. And it's not, and anytime I put like, because you obviously get hungry and you're used to having denser food, is
Right.
I would have a little bit of nut butter or a little bit of nuts, but the focus was not even getting anything out of it. It was a little bit of grounding, and then you keep going. The whole focus, like, and that's where the salad that saved my life comes in, because the blocks aren't just cooking. Is I feel like you have to get to a certain level to even use blenders and juices. And this falls into the part where juicing is absolutely amazing. But what I notice about juice, and if I only do fruit, is this is what happens is everything starts to go so fast, you blow a fuse, right? Because we're electrical beings, is you have to be able to manage this. And I feel like this is all I had to know, is you keep eating the light packages, stop worrying that you have no money, that you have nobody around you. It's like a game. You're going to keep leveling up as long as you choose good every time. And then you can eventually tolerate things more. But it was like being guided. But the whole two premises is just be outdoors, no shoes on. And as I said, is people, because then these are the people's blocks. They're like, I can't do that. I'm like, man, I started locked up in a psych unit, like not even allowed out. I started by noticing that I'd lost everything, but the sun and the moon kept going past my window. That's all I had. And so I never let that go until a point where when you get your freedom back, you have a new value on it. So when they're like, okay, we open the courtyard, you can go out, and you're allowed out in this funny little court. It's very small. There's minimal plants, a little bit of dirt around the outside. You're so grateful. And plus, by this stage, I've been in a room 15 years before this. All this medication had come away. And this happened over years. This isn't like it led me where I got, right? We're always being led and guided. And then when I finally got my 15-minute leave that they give you once they trust you to go outside, is I literally would take my shoes off, and I got rescheduled for this. They're like, you're rolling. I would roll my legs and do like these yoga moves. And Hannah, we were talking about earlier, said that whatever I did needs to be shared with the world. She goes, you have some secret knowledge that you, instead of like leaving the planet, you just kept going like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. And so I did all these like stretches, and I noticed I had no pain the more I was on the grass. And then they schedule you, which is so typical of modern medicine, right? They said you're rolling in the dirt. And I'm like, I am doing yoga out the front. What is the Anyway, another story. But then I was putting sap in my hair, like any way I could dive into nature. And I found raw foods. This is when I went paleo and let go of the processed food. Then I went vegan, and I've gone back and forth. But the thing is, when I healed myself, I couldn't even get to the park. When I went raw, all I had was in my apartment was concrete and a tree that was stuck out, and the front knoll. But just like the psyche, I'm like, I did it there. You just go out and put your feet on the tree, and you along your grassy knoll out the front. Because like I feel like it's like a full blueprint. If somebody wants to do it, you can't fail. I was on disabilities. I hadn't really lived. I didn't have access to a lot of nature, but I still did it. It's possible, right? Sorry, I've really gone into the mysticism part. I just think I keep talking in like physical light codes. So you
love
can
that.
your own awakening, because I don't think the two are the same.
We need to say that more. And I like how you say the light packages. And you can bring in part of nature. This is a Herkimer diamond, and it has like little rocks on it. There's only one area of the United States where you can get these, which of course is in the northeastern side. But you can bring in a part of nature into your home. Like you said, bring in the rocks, bring in the crystal
leaves. I would grab leaves. I would put the charcoal. I've spoken about the charcoal. Remember, the charcoal stopped me. I knew intuitively to pick up all this charcoal, and my nervous system would stop. I was like an animal. I was so like broken that it was just like those animalistic. And then I put in my pocket, and you'd open my pockets on my cardigan, and there was just leaves. Everything was grabbing on to, because it was the only thing at this point which soothed me. Doctors didn't work, medication made me sick. And I was indoors, and I kept having seizures, especially around metal.
Wow.
And every time I was outdoors, my nervous system would calm. And I think the reason I felt that is because I couldn't connect to people. I couldn't watch television. I couldn't read a book. All I could do was feel. And that
Yeah.
sounds like it was a freaking curse, but the curse saved my life, right?
Isn't that amazing how you were kind of like at, I want to say ground zero. Like we have we have our media, we have our phones, we have uh our foods in boxes, we've got commercials, we've got layers and layers of layers, but you were just like raw human. And what did you gravitate towards? The light. And
Oh, I just got chills when you say it like that. I did, but you could go the other way, right?
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if you get bare feet in nature and stay away from like, just if I swear, even if, because I was still at times
Yeah.
in one of my morning rituals, it wasn't perfect straight away, was I would, when I first could get down to the park and I was eating more raw foods, unprocessed, and I did go back to drinking a couple of times, but I would do these weird stretches again, like I knew what to pull out of my body, like as in, and I did a lot. My body was so pain free at the time, and I would do these dance movements when I could, and it was like I knew where to pull all of this trauma out. And I would have a coffee, and I would know where the sun is at all times because I spent so much time out in the sun. And so my brain is now regulated to the sun. And this has happened twice in my life. So when I first got put in a psych unit, there's a funny television, there's computers, one funny computer, but I was away from media for 4 months.
Amazing.
And before that, this is, people, you can't understand. This is why losing my stomach seems so much easier than this. Coming off those opioids, ketamine, Valium, SSRIs, they should not have done this. Instantly, hormones, they did give me a little bit of hormones back. Then they injected me with something else. But I've been in front of a screen for 15 years, like watching a screen. Right now, it's nature. My brain was already struggling. But what I noticed is when I came out of that, I did much better for that year. All I cared about when I woke up was, where is the sun? But then slowly, the more I looked at my screen, you default. But I wanted to be normal at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And when I disconnected with the FND, and if I was indoors, all I could do was stare at a wall. One time when it was really bad at the start, I was like literally staring at a wall for like 2 weeks. Mum and Dad would have to bring me to a bathroom, shower me. And so when I rebooted with the sun, the reality you live in when you have no media is completely different.
Wow.
It's a hell to get there. It's like a detox, right? It's a hell to get there. And my detoxes are pretty deep, as you can hear. But the gifts, and I was, someone I know is doing, like, because you can do these sort of things, right? You can go out into different places and do retreats where there's no Wi-Fi, there's no media, there's no all of this, where you experience this. But I've done big batches where I feel like I've been, like, life would have been so different even 50 years, 60, 70 years ago when there's no television, right? That you get up and you're excited. Well, for me, it wasn't a focus on even people that I had in my life. It was literally, I was like, where is the sun? And then I felt like I was almost like, what's her name? The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, where because I've been so sick and now I'm full of raw foods, I'm obsessed with the sun, and spring has burst and I'm able to walk again. I felt like I'm like, all these flowers are talking to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going on my journey.
I love that. Yeah, I love how you say that the flowers are talking to you, and I always feel like the crystals when I go to a store. I can hear them singing, I feel like. And you mentioned something that I want to just go back to really quick, is you are saying how you were standing in the sun and you're moving, like you're moving, and sort of, there is I took a class called somatic healing, and it's where we would put somebody into a trance and have them move in these certain ways. And it's the belief that you can heal yourself And so whenever I get sore, I always lay on top of my heated blanket on my bed, and I just stretch, and I imagine the color green coming in. I have a meditation on my YouTube channel about a green healing color coming in and healing your body. But that's where I got this. I was stretching and I was envisioning like green healing, and as it's coming in my body, it's just healing every part of me, and it's very mystical. But uh, I have this belief, and hypnosis is the belief that you can truly heal yourself. We can heal ourselves. We just don't believe we can, and we don't trust that we can, because we're so used to outsourcing our healing to someone else. But we know our own body, and we can do it in the
So
proper. Yeah.
I don't know who I shared this with, because I have not spoken about this much, just because a lot of it I couldn't remember. I can only remember my dissociation or split, how this all happened in small patches. And I don't know if it was with you, and I don't even know whether it's online, if anybody's ever heard this. So when I first split, so everything up until 2017, whether you take out an organ, whether I'm screaming in pain, whatever's going on, I could go down, I could go up, but you return to this identity, right? And all of a sudden, and I'm very medicated through all this, and when this happened, most of my medications have gone. So I spent 5 to 6 years coming off a ton of medications. I got very sick coming off them, but there wasn't much left. That the hospital still, the lower doses are harder to come off. You've got to keep doing smaller and smaller, because it's a larger percentage when you drop. Like, does that make sense? So when you first start dropping tablets and you're on like 500 milligrams, and they say, oh, I'll take off 50 milligrams, that's only like, what is that? I think 10% of what you're on, or 10 or 12% of what you're on. And so if you took off 50 when you're on 100, that's 50%. So you get very affected. And that's why when you're even a small dose, a lot of people never come off these type of things. So I could see it as a blessing or a curse. But how this all happened is, back in 2017, I'd been in a room or a hospital for basically 15 years. You could say for 32 years, I was always going back to bed, but literally from 25 up until what was at this stage, it was 37. But then I went back to bed after a year of getting up. So what was that? Like that total of 15 years. But so at this point, it's like 12 years, I think, 12 years. I've been in a bed or a hospital. And most of that time is screaming in pain, or going to hospitals, or calling hospitals. And my reality had been a screen, but I always returned to normal. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to get more movement in my body for no reason at all. And the sun and the moon are calling me. I forgot about this. So I would start laying outside, and I'm very, very, very underweight. So I'm like 37. This is when I'm 37 kilograms, where they didn't think I was going to make it. And all of a sudden, people hear this story and they go, that sounds like that cancer patient when they have their last year, that they have this.
Yes.
Okay, so from nowhere, from going still, I had so much pain in my body. The pain started to move, and I started to keep moving outdoors. And I would just lay outdoors when everyone else was gone to bed. And usually I'd look at a television, right? And I'd just stare at the stars and the moon. So the only thing that's occurred is gradually I've come off more meds. There's nothing like, as in, I haven't added anything in to have this split, right? And so then I'm starting to feel called, and I haven't been around people in years. I can hear all the fishermen over. We lived on the water near a river. And so I would get myself up, and remember that as a child, I would walk along there. Mum and Dad would find out I would do this and flip out, because I haven't done anything in years, right? And in the middle of the night, like 9 o'clock at night, when all the fishermen come out, I would walk across. Wow. Here's how my story goes. And I started to notice I felt like I was a bit in a different reality. Like it's not like I dropped a med and I started to feel this. I don't think anything had much changed. I just started to feel like the universe was talking to me. Okay. Now, diet hadn't changed, though. I was having a lot of frozen berries because they kept giving me protein shakes, and they put the protein in the berries. But I didn't even want food at this time. Okay. So I'm walking across, and I met this guy, and we were talking, and he was saying he was trying to get off media, and that's why he was fishing. And I know it's not vegan, but run with it here. And we shared a cigarette. I smoked at this time. And then I just got really shy, and I went in to go home, right? Most of the time, and I wasn't really a shy person. Anyway, I think 2 days later, I woke up, And I had this, my dream turned from dream state to reality. And it was like I was there. I was this little cell that turned into a jellyfish that was connected to this guy that I met. And we split or something. Like it was like the universe showed me how reality started, like
Yeah.
how it, and then the part of him passed away. And I woke up howling, like part of me had died, like this massive part of me, and I could not comprehend. I never really went back onto computers from this point. This is in 2017. I literally would lay on the floor and just not move. Okay.
Wow.
And then I started to get these like thoughts, that overwhelming thoughts, that all the women in the world that I've ever met, that I've ever seen on a computer, that I've seen on a TV, and their daughters start singing this song that they want me to get out of the room, that they're all holding hands around me, and their whole goal is to get me out of this room. Okay.
Wow.
Like, I'm talking about people that I grew up with their, it's only girls, Beyonce, like all, whoever I've ever would be in this circle. And all of a sudden my body started to, and so I haven't been on media, started to do these weird stretches. And this is where I spoke to Hannah about this, where I didn't have much energy to get up at this stage because I was so small. And I'd start to run my hand. I love the feeling of, what is it called? Static electricity. So I started to do these weird star movements, like I knew what to do. My body would become static. And I'd do all these stretches, and I could only do it for a short period, but my body was moving in ways that I was never flexible. I'd been in a bed for 15 years, and this is how it begun. But basically, when I would lay still, all these girls just wanted, the whole goal was every woman in the world was there in like, and people who have been through massive trauma talk about how this is very much what this feels like when I say I split and there was people there with me all the time. If you hear stories of near death where they survived and they say there was an angel there or someone guided, they never saw them, but they're just out of your periphery. So you know that feeling where if you turn around, like, you know somebody's going to be there. But if they kept moving, it's like you break into a space where the people that are with you at different times are in that space. So when I read these stories where people survived like these hiking mountains and they fell off and they got up and then someone was there, this inner voice, they say there's a part of your brain that lights up when you go through so much trauma where it takes over. However it works, it felt like these people were in the periphery. I never saw them.
Yes.
Like it's like I never saw. And when you say I had delusion, it wasn't even like a delusion. It was like I needed these people, different times in different spaces, and they never looked like I'd seen on television or what I remember. They had their own, and this is where I spoke to Hannah, and she's like, it's because of different realities. We are different versions of ourselves. So people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Wow. So did she say it was like kind of all a part of you, different realities of yourself, or angels, or
there's two things that she said. So if you don't know Hannah does a whole lot of work in spiritual plane. She's amazing.
I'm gonna meet her. Right after this, I will email her so we can connect.
We did a lot of work together about that time because I never understood it. So Cranberry Melon said this. So if you have to understand anything, this part is like nothing I've ever experienced. This is why it's really hard for me to, and I haven't written a book because it's not fair to not include this stuff, but I can't assimilate it properly yet. But the thing Hannah said is, we know everybody. Like, there's only a certain amount of souls. We know everybody, but there's all these different planes where we're living out different experiences, different lives are going on at all times. So every person that was there to what I would call, I couldn't have done it without them. Whether it was me splitting with these spiritual experience, I couldn't have done this without the courage of other people, to a point where I'd be in hospital and I'd start to get these thoughts of I can't be here and do this, and something would drop off a wall. And I'd without fail. And it didn't happen the same. This is this first time. It's like this mystical, and it falls into me. Anyway, this part is I feel is the most important part of my whole story, and I can't completely assimilate it yet. Because so Hannah said that there's all these people, I hadn't met yet, you weren't there, but there's all these people I went to school with, famous people that would come in, and they would be childlike or they'd look different, but they never looked exactly like the memory says, like different versions of themselves. And she said, because I'm splitting into different planes. And when I've spoken to different people, what you have to understand about this experience is, just say someone came into the reality, that when they're there behind me, or what people say when they have this near-death experience, which it seems so similar to, is that I couldn't think about somebody else while they were in. So there's a whole storyline, which she says that you're in different realities because the brain's trying to it can't cope where it is anymore. So it basically dies. Like it's like it has to split to stay in on Earth type thing. So just say I'm thinking, and there's like famous people, or like that because I've seen them on television, or there's people I've been to school with when I was younger. A lot of them came through, but there's a whole life that I would experience while they're there, right? But the other people couldn't come in. So just say a friend from when I'm in year 5 comes in, and it's not even anything to do with what we did when we were younger. We've got a whole experience that's there, but I can't think about, I don't know, Bob that used to live next door to me experience. If that comes in, that completely leaves. It's not even in my reality anymore. So you're literally, and I've spoken to Marcus and Larissa when I met them, and Marcus is like, it's exactly what it's like. Is like it doesn't exist in another plane. Anyway,
wow.
That was what was going on. But that then led to, when I got to hospital, the static electricity, and I think this is what she's saying about some sort of practice that I knew to do, because my body wouldn't move a lot of the time, which makes sense. I had, without me running static electricity through it, which sounds really crazy. And I guess it's why, until I guess I've put myself out there enough online where people are like, okay, like you can take it as you are. But I do this star thing, like I knew, and it had to be exactly this thing. And I'd get, my body would be static enough that like I would be able to do stuff, and then I would burn out. And that went on like this first time. But the other thing Hannah said, because I said I kept feeling like a different person, and I can't even remember the conclusion we went to, because people can actually have 2 souls inhabit their body.
I didn't know that.
In a lifetime.
I've never heard that. Well, I mean, I've heard of walk-ins. Like if you get really sick, a walk-in can come in for you. I've heard of that. Your soul can go and rest in the heavenly realms, and then another walk-in can come and take over for your body if you're super, super sick. So
it felt more like, I guess if I was to explain it, it felt more like different versions of myself.
Okay.
I feel like it was, I guess, I don't think we got that. She said that my guide said every time I would do these sessions with her is that I've been through more than anyone can experience in a lifetime. And that's the theme that kept coming up, but it never got to the point where I had a new soul. And that's what I clung. This is why, if you hear this part of my story, I feel like I need to write a book called Getting Sky Back, or Finding Sky. That my goal has not even been the symptoms. It has been, I want this version, which is very confusing for me, because Sky before 2017 was very ill. And I think this is why a lot of symptoms are coming up while I assimilate. All I want is that version back, because I from that point, and it goes on, the story is very long. It'll have to be parts to a series, or however.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
But it's like, for the past 10 years, it's like I've been floating between, there's so much to this. This is more important than the physical stuff. Like the stuff, when I then got FND, the same thing happened. I couldn't get up, and it was like I saw, anyway, it's not too much for me to say, because I ponder on this, but I think it's a lot for people to hear. And yeah, I feel like it's like how I got to where I did is like, this part is more than the surgeries. Like this is the gold. Like if I was to tell you what's the gold, this is the gold.
Yeah, maybe doing parts, little by little, and maybe it will help you to return back to that part of yourself that you are wanting to reach, just by doing like section by section by section and working it through.
Yeah, I think I have to be careful, and it's why I do my raw diet more dense. So I think the calling is to dip in.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure my rib is broken. I had an x-ray yesterday, and I was telling you all these old patterns, right? Is when you're not connected to that such damage, right? Is you can't be that sick. But as I assimilate her, I don't want to become broken again. Does that,
Right.
like, I want her because she has knowledge. It's all of me, right? You want the whole package, but how
Right.
to do that? And this is something I learned in psychology as well, is most people who you can take the disease out of a
Yeah.
person, and this is probably what saved my life, is lack of memory, right? But if you have the trauma and the same behaviors and the same patterns and the same comforts, you will get, just may not be the disease in the same way, you will end up, now my husband's abusing me, now my sister doesn't like me, the trauma loop. And I don't have a trauma loop until I reconnect to her.
Yeah, I see. Okay. So there
So
has to be a way that you're working with Hannah that
I
eventually,
should. Yeah, even working with Hannah was very heavy because, and she said when she first did all that work, it can take like the first year you completely continually get downloads. And I did. And I haven't spoken to her in a while, but I have had a calling recently. But it's like unlocking the beast, right? Is I want it back, but how much floods through?
or taking another part of yourself with you in order to meet her. So you can
Oh,
come up and view her from a higher perspective where you're interacting, but you're not like gonna get into it with her, but you're coming from a higher perspective or with another part of yourself. Sometimes in hypnotherapy, we come from a higher perspective so we can see, but we don't have to take that trauma back on. We're safe.
I like what you said though, is that I am not accounting for the fact that in the past 10 years, I have a skill set which is unlike any other, right? So when I meet her,
Yes.
is I have this strength and that I didn't have before,
Yeah.
which I think is really important, right? Is when
You
I,
can draw her. If you draw, do you ever draw?
no, I'm
Because you
not a
could
drawer.
sketch her. Even if you're not an artist, I am not an artist, but sometimes the most healing thing you can do is just to draw, and it's just for you. So it it could look like her, it could just be like aspects, like you might be drawing stars and crystals and things, or I don't know, whatever, popsicles, but it doesn't have to necessarily be her. It could just be things that represent her.
Yeah. I think what's really important is I think she is more me than me now. So people probably see me and they're like, you step into your like highest self. This is your truest self. You're working in your purpose. But I think the amount that because from birth, you come from source, right? That's the closest you truly are to source. And then you create who you are. And as I start to feel bits of normality now, because I remember coming out of all this, and I've thought about this many times, is when people see me and talk to me, I have to remember that they're still in just a normal plane, like they're live. They can't understand. So when it's so different from being like, because a lot of people would think it's all the surgeries and all the physical pain. And I always say that to me was like a walk in the park because I always had myself. But when you can call it on a psychological, a psychiatric, a spiritual, whatever level you want, um, uh, when you don't have yourself. And I always tell the story that I remember standing in a mirror I've been scheduled for about 10 months one-on-one at this point, probably scheduled 4 times. There's a story behind that one too, but and they're over medicated and I don't look like myself at all. Most of my hair has fallen out. I'm so swollen. My kidneys are barely functioning. I look in the mirror, my skin is like all shallow. As I said, hospital food. I'm vegan at the time, hospital food. I'm very drugged. I remember looking in the mirror and being very aware that there was a version of myself when I was younger that used to look in the mirror and be so ungrateful. Like used to come home from school and like be like, you have acne and your hair's not shiny enough and you're not skinny
Yeah.
enough. And I was like, Sky, and I never thought I'd get myself back. I remember looking in the mirror and being like, I wish I was her. I even used to wish when I'd split that I was the sickest version of myself. I just wanted myself back so badly. Like even with no pain, all I wanted to do was feel like myself. I just was like, people have no idea when they tear themselves down what they have, like what you've actually been gifted. If God took it all away from you now, like, and not even like the the aspect of being homeless and stuff, if you don't feel like yourself, you're just floating through. Anyway, I've gone. I feel like have I gone off topic today?
And I wonder. Well, it kind of segues over to mysticism, because do you think it made me have a question? I was thinking, do you feel like we go for, like, our hearts want that connection with who we truly are, which is our connection with the universal self, or ourself, or God? We want that. Like, we all want that. And so religion or mysticism is a way that we try to get that, because we all, whether we're in addiction or we are eating raw food, we're all craving to feel like ourselves. Like, that content feeling of, like, when we're first born and we are who we really are. I mean, it kind of segues into that, because so many people search, one way or another. We go mystic, we go religion, we go addiction, we go food. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, we're all searching for something, I feel like.
And I think what people are searching for, so how do I say this? So the problem is, from most people's birth, and even if you're older, but most people on this plane right now that are listening to this have always known television, have always known not so much radio, but okay. So what we actually think, our subconscious thinks of is God, is not where God's coming from. Does that make sense? So, like,
true.
This is the problem of where, and it's not that people are getting it wrong, it's that people actually have no idea. And so, and it's not their fault. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. You can keep searching, but you don't realize that your subconscious has actually made this God as opposed to what actually is. And I will be so honest here now and say my God again is a screen. Unfortunately, I'm going to be so real of what I know now of being away from this and being clocked by the sun and the moon and just having no thoughts whatsoever of a screen, none, is a horrific experience to get there, that I really don't know if it's for everybody. But you can't even understand what, like, the direction, like, 'cause that's the thing, right? So what came out of what I went, this is what I move across, what came out of what I went through, and I guess it'll circle back around because it hasn't been at my forefront for a while, but what I have wanted to do, if I had the funds, is create sanctuaries all over the world. And it needs to be all over the world, and I'll tell you why. Is just say there's one here, and you cannot go for a week, you cannot go for 2 weeks. For a minimum of 3 months, you have to say goodbye to your family, you have to say goodbye to media. There's no Wi-Fi on that premises. There's a garden around it, there will be ocean nearby, like there's all these what the things that I had. But what's very important is how much even talking to family influences when you've been away from media.
We get programmed when we're born, don't we?
Yes, but you have to, the premise of this is who you become after. And the thing is, you can't just go, the reason I need them all over the world and not just one is because, like, so one of the only amazing thing really about a psychiatric unit is they do not just send you home because they want you apparently stable and calm. You have to transition. And if you're not coping, you go back. And I feel like I've learned so many skills. A lot of the skills that I have and when I coach people isn't just raw. A lot of it, because a lot of people are very acute when they work with me, sick. But what's very important is you don't just go home, because you'll go back to your old habits. As soon as you're in your old environment, you have to transition back. And if it's too much, you go back to the sanctuary and you do it slower. But you will give your family, yourself, the rest of your life because of that experience are unheard of. And it's definitely not the same as like, it's like, and there'd be people there to support you, but a lot of the time it'll be you in a garden, you outdoors, you like, and I think if you lived in Kauai and you lived outdoors, you could get this experience, but like That is what came to me that I want for the world. Like, I don't think you can truly experience. So what I'm saying right now is my God has shifted, and I can't help it if I work online. Your brain is so regulated by what you're around all the time. And we are around these lights, and I want to share the message. But the experience of being regulated by just the sun and the moon, a radio would, I remember radios being around, and I literally mean a radio. So I mean a little transistor,
Oh
because they didn't
yeah.
anything else in psych units, but and we'd have to tape the little aerial. It doesn't seem to affect you the same because you still keep looking up at everything is stars and moon. And
Right.
so this is like, it's hard when you say people fall into addiction and they're looking for themselves, is they're trapped in a confusion which really doesn't exist. Like, it's actually coming from all of this. You take this away, you'll go through pain like you don't understand. Like the
Wow.
pain, it's like a loss. You lose
Yes.
but the experience you have of like being regulated with the sun and the moon is something worth, and I mean, raw food with it.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. You could always start one there and then branch out. All of us, all of your friends, one in Japan for Kiko, one all
Well,
way
yeah, that's,
back
I feel
here.
like I'm subconsciously manifesting it, right?
Yeah,
It's like, and I don't think it would have to start fancy, right? Is it,
not
however,
at all.
but that's like, it's literally, and it's almost written itself in my conscious, like that is what has to happen. And I think I'm just on
Yes.
this ride of service. And that's why I do these things where I'm like, woke up this morning, I'm like, right, we're doing a week of how to go raw. Like, we're doing
I love that.
connecting with people. We're going to do all our, like,
Uh-huh.
we're going to do videos, we're going to do podcasts, because that's coming up. And I've got a parents panel coming up, and I feel like I'm doing it,
A
but
what panel?
a parents panel
Oh,
parents who are raw vegan, like Anne Osborne and Karen Ramsey. And I'm just going with it, right? This is
yeah.
where I'm supposed to do right now, because I feel like everyone is online. So I have to go online. And this is
Yes.
what it's like when you awaken, right? Is you have to go up and you
Uh-huh.
get all the knowledge. And in fact, I think I had more knowledge. Like, I've done grapes, right, for 3 weeks. I've done juicing for 80 days. I was more enlightened when I was outdoors, disconnected from people, eating just carrot, celery,
Yes.
like, than I am. So it shows how much nature actually plays. Like,
Right.
even when, like, you can say, you're most enlightened, but if you're still watching screens and you're still talking to other people, it's, I don't know, nature can just give you so many freaking answers.
Nature's amazing because you plug in on a different level, and then the answers just come to you. Like you're if you're in nature and you're not, even if you happen to be listening to something like you said, like music, but you're out in nature, but you're alone, it's like your higher self speaks to you. It's like you can hear it, you can feel, however you get answers. They come to me when I'm out in nature.
When you first do this, nature won't speak to you. Well, what'll happen is, so just say you always go outside in nature, but you have your own bedroom, you have your partner, and you have
Uh-huh.
your indoors, and you have your job. When you first sit out in nature, and just imagine you've gone to this sanctuary, and you may do 6 months, you may be someone who needs a year or something, is the mourning and the pain that you go through when you first do this is like nothing I've ever experienced. As I said, I would have rather had a surgery.
Wow.
It is like everything that makes, because this is why the greatest love of my life is me. I know that it's me because I've lost me and I'm trying to find me. And there's
Yes.
nothing I want more. I don't want a car. I don't want a bigger house. I want me. That's all I want, right? And I only want that because I've lost it. But what is really apparent in these situations where I have to go back in, lose these artificial lights, like as in an artificial screen, communication to the world, is how painful. It's like a pain you can't describe.
Is it a loneliness?
No, it's
Feel
like
lonely?
nothing I've ever experienced. It's
Yeah.
like you're yearning. You keep yearning. Like, as
Yeah.
in, like, and that's probably what we do, right? We get up and we want even a juice. You just sit and
Wow.
I don't know, but then that's where the voices, it's where nature starts communicating with you. Like,
Yes,
once you let
communicating.
go, it's,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have to say the start of these, but then as you come through, even though what's hard also is, I guess I know I'm away from everybody. Like, even when I'm in reality and around people, you aren't on the same plane, that's hard too. It's just painful.
And probably some people are bored at first. I think people might think that nature is boring. Some people, not stimulating.
And that's a pain, right? I think there'll be different. I reckon this is what will happen. It's different pains for different people.
Right.
I think, like, even for me right now, if you put me in nature, I would be so restless. But you be restless until, like, and I'll give you an example. I've done a great video on my channel. It's probably like I've done a few where I've dove into sort of things that people want to know, and it's about how I saved my life, or where, I think it's where I saved my life, and it's the local park. So I basically, although I had an apartment, close by was a park, and I'd walked past that park many times. I mean, growing up, Mum had us, my sister and I, in matching swimsuits with matching boogie boards and matching sand things, and you want to play on board, I want hot chips. Like, and then as you grow up, you've gone to the park with your friends, you're not really aware. But when you have nothing, you can't communicate with anybody. I'm in my like kind of donated clothes, eating just fresh food. I would sit in that park. It kind of got there because I couldn't be inside, right? And it opens up more and more. So you may think sitting under a tree at the start is boring, but say by the end and you're full of raw food, all of a sudden you're seeing the communication line between ants. You're seeing the same ants and the communication with the sap coming down the tree. And because there's no media in my life, how much I learn from that interaction.
Yes.
And what they pick up and where they move to, and how I start moving where the sun is at different times. And it's like things that are in us, but we don't use, and we can't use while this is our God. Like, and
Right.
as I've, once again, this is ambiguous as to what God is, because I mean, God created us and we created this, but it's the same really as processed food. No, processed sunlight is the same as processed food. And I need this. It's great because I can share with the world, but everyone deserves to come onto this planet and lose themselves and then find themselves. And that song I kept playing, sometimes you gotta lose somebody just to find out you really love someone. Well, it's by Kygo, and I used to listen to that. Have you seen that clip I did with all the photos of me when I was really sick?
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes you got to lose somebody. And these are all love songs, but even the love songs changed. The love songs started being all about losing me, finding me, the bond between me. But that one is like, I've got chills. Like
I
we
got
have to lose ourselves to realize how much we love ourselves.
It's all about love. It's all about love.
It is all about love.
Love is the universal religion.
Yes. So Haruka said, I love this idea of the sanctuary. And are you going live every day these days? So it's I think just grown that way. So I go live most days during my Monday to Friday, just because I do podcasts most days, or I'll go live most days. And then we skipped yesterday, and I don't usually go live today.
Thank you for going live with me.
That's all right.
My internet was weird.
As you can tell, I have a lot to say, so that's why I'm live a lot. And that's, as you can hear, this is where my confidence comes from, because I've been somewhere which is like, no matter what people tell me, this comes back to mysticism, no matter what people tell me, it doesn't matter. Like, it does what I know, like, and it's not even have seen what I've felt, what I am, where I've been, nobody's been that I know of. I'm sure people in their own way. The only thing that resonates with me is when I hear near-death experiences of survival. That's the only thing that sounds very similar, this mystic splitting, like this higher self, an angel guided me out, and it's this voice.
Yes.
That is the closest thing to what I've heard. But I almost feel like, yeah, I don't know, there's so many levels to it that just don't resonate on the plane of reality that I live now. But I think a lot of the plane of reality that I know now is to do with these screens.
I love being on this journey with you.
Oh,
I love you so much. I learned so much from you. I just love connecting, our connection, and everything that you've been through, and that you share so much with all of us. We're so blessed to have you on this planet with us.
Oh, you know what? God probably gave his biggest talker this experience. He's like, right, Sky talks the most. I'll give her this experience and then she can share it.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so, but I think it'd be really cool to have. I feel like you crack me open, but I feel like even being with Hannah would only be part of what it's. That's why we have people around us. This is what I always think about when I look at my friends. Is
Yeah.
there parts of myself that are out there that I can see, like when, especially when I do the women's health panel, and I see like you and Lisa and Kiko and Tony. I'm like all of these people, but they're like part of myself. And I hope you guys look at who you're around and see all these different facets of yourself.
Yes, exactly. Our friends are like facets of ourselves, like facets of a crystal. I love it.
Oh, I do love that. And hopefully people watching who follow us feel that about us too, is that they see that and they're like, oh, reminds me of this part of myself, or this brings
Yeah.
out, like when you're around Marabella, this brings out my spiritual part of myself, or this brings out my, I don't know, when I'm in the kitchen, my chef part of myself.
Yeah. You're like pure sunshine.
Oh, thank you. What are we? Oh, we've gone over. I've just been.
Oh,
Where did the time go? I feel like I
have
just
we really?
differentiated. Yeah, we
Wow.
started at 8. It's 10 past 9. I feel like we all
Oh,
went into a different reality.
wow. I think we
We all
did.
went-
It went by so fast.
we definitely did. Oh my God. Did you want to say anything else? I've got plenty of time, and apparently now I'm all energized sharing that.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to look back through my notes just with, I think your topic, what you talked about, went so good with our topic of mysticism and the universal language of love, because it's all about love and finding your way to tap into that love, into that universal love. And you shared so beautifully of how you did that through raw foods and movement and nature, and that's what our podcast Raw Magic is all about. So I think it was beautiful. It was whatever was meant to come up today came up today. And my son is Rex. Hi, Rex.
Hey, Rex. That's so cool. I wanted to bring this up and just read this out. So it reminds me of the short story, The Egg Theory.
Ooh.
This is me telling my story about how different versions of myself basically saved my life, right? And so the egg theory goes, the egg theory is a philosophical short story written by Andy Weir in 2009. It says that and you'll resonate with this, Marabella, every
Yeah.
human being is actually the same single soul. Yes, this is it. So this is another thing I wanted to tell before we go.
Oh, yeah, that matches with what you went through.
Every single human being is actually the same single soul reincarnated through time. So this is really important part. See, I'm glad everyone comes into my life for a reason. Thank you so much. So the most apparent thing that I saw when I did all of this was that it was all me. So that
Yes.
every single person I looked at in physical reality,
Okay.
to be honest, this is how it felt. In physical reality was me at a different, what we know as reincarnation is not what the human mind can perceive, right? It's not.
Yes.
That is very linear, that we can be like, oh yeah, I went, died and came back and now I'm this person. It's literally us at different times, and it gives you this whole level of compassion, because when people are mean or whatever happens, it's just a version of you, and you've gone through something up until this point. That's really important. Cranberry melon, so thanks for sharing. It didn't feel like the spirits or guides or angels that were with me were the same, sort of. It's hard to distinguish, but it was very clear at the time that these are all, like, if you can think of crystals and fractals, that they're like whatever's happened before, it has kind of put everything together of you in this certain way, and you're supposed to face it. So what used to come through is when I would get to this stage where I can't be here, I need to not be on this planet, not suicidal thoughts, but like this is getting like I've got to check out, and I would say something would just drop off the wall. I was very aware that on the other side, this is versions of me pulling me through, like, and this is in a, like, as in like that time. And the other thing that came up was really apparent, like that I had already set up life for me. So what all the different interactions that are going on around us are setting up set things to get us through. So like the thing falling off the wall, or I'd have these thoughts and an alarm would go off, is that different versions of myself had set all of this up. It's very hard
Yes.
to in this
No, it
linear
makes sense completely. It makes sense. And we touched on that either off air earlier, or maybe we were on air about like different parts, like the women too, like Beyonce, all the friends
Yes.
that you had in the past and how they were circling you and getting you through. They were right beside you. Yes. Yes.
It's funny. And yeah, like it was like, and there was like this chant. They were all holding hands, and they would not. They were going to get me out of the room, and they did. Essentially, they put me into hell, but they got me out of my situation, right? Because everyone thought I was going to die in that room or a hospital, that I was not leaving. And so I just think if we hold on, we've set up situations. The other one that might be more relatable that came to me when I was more grounded in this space was when my grandmother passed. And so when I was younger, one of the first memories I have of my grandma and grandpa is the jacaranda tree. Do you know the big purple bell flowers? I want to see if I can share them. They're beautiful. So, and it was one of the first words I learned to say, jacaranda.
That was one of the first words you said, jacaranda?
Oh, so no. One of the first words around there, I kept going, jacaranda. Like I try say it, I think, because they would always point these flowers out to me. Let me show you. Oh my God, Marabella, the fact of bringing this flower up right now for you, this is meant for you. Wait till you see this.
Gosh.
How do I add this? You'll get it in a second. Let me bring this up. Allow. Here we go. Bring this up. Share. I can't wait to see your face when I bring this up. This is meant to be shown for you. Oh, why is this? Is this coming up? Oh. Why is this not coming up? Oh, there.
Oh.
Can you see that?
Yes.
I've lost Marabella. I got jacarandas and lost Marabella.
Oh, those are so beautiful.
The color's purple, right?
Oh my goodness. Wow. I've never seen those flowers.
I was meant to share this with you as well.
Oh, those are so gorgeous.
Yeah, so this tree blossoms at the start of spring. I mean, around our area, you'll see, and underneath the tree, the jacaranda tree, there's all purple flowers. It's like a quilt of purple, right? So obviously as a child, the bright colors, and my favorite's the jacaranda. It was always jacaranda, right? Anyway, so when my grandmother passed, I would be driving and I'm covered with jacarandas. So I'd be driving on the street, and every street. So it was like my nana, my grandma is with me. And in my head, the first thing that came up was everything before this, even the planting and when someone dropped a seed or anything, had prepared for this moment. Like we think moments are like fleeting and it's like annoying or like it bothers you, but the energetics of a planet and how it aligns to create something was like each seed. So that, it was planted in the consciousness of the planet, knowing that I would have a moment like this. Like it's like it makes you, and as I said, the more I'm on a screen, the more I don't have this gift as much anymore.
Wow. Imagine being covered in those beautiful purple flowers. Just that's
I'm so glad I got to share that with you, because every time I think of you, I think purple.
Oh, I just love it.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So yeah, I feel like I just like cracked open like today.
That's good, because this was our card, guys. It says breaking free.
Oh, it was too.
This beautiful mermaid.
I think also what's really important is I'm only able to share this now because I've literally been online talking for years. Like I feel like and people know me now. They know like who I am, my story, the sort of way I tell things, you know, that familiar. And I think you got to get to, and I was always destined to share. I never knew whether I would or not, right? Or how you even share. But this is what holds me off from writing a book. Because to me, this is the most important part, and I still can't put it all together yet. So it's not fair to write a book, because I think this is like I don't know.
And you share what is needed at the time. So this was needed, and then at the next live or the next situation, then whatever comes up is meant, I believe, is meant to be. So when the time is right, it'll all come together if it does, and if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Are we reading for the public today? Hello from San Diego. You can definitely, I feel like today, after if you watch this video, I feel like you have to do a reading for everyone, because I feel like if you saw this is what I feel like. If you hear my story, people in what they know as the word want to experience this, like want to experience their higher self. But it reminds me of, I know this might sound off topic, when people talk about, I used to watch on television people who say they're visited by aliens, and I believe this is just split realities as well, different versions at different times of different levels of that consciousness has got to, right? And they say, stop wishing for it. It's not the joy you think it is. And I think people probably hear my story and they want to experience this enlightened side, but you have to completely fracture to get there. So I feel like people want to know where to start, right? Like, where do you start to dive deeper without, I guess, completely losing yourself like I did? So let's see what the cards say.
I like how you said that, where to start. I think it's just little by little, like you've done over time, or in the moment when it lends itself to that. Or we had this great topic which like really opened us up to your share today. But it's to let go of fear. For me, like, I want to share more, and I've just had to let go of fear and just go with it. And Sky, you're great for seeing that this is your truth. So when you're sharing, someone can say something to argue with you about it, but this is your experience, this is your truth. So I think starting by just sharing your truth, I'm going to start sharing my truth.
I completely agree. I believe that what life has like splintered out its web, right? And it's all one. That's why we're all the same person. But we're supposed to, like, when people say live in our purpose, and people go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You're just supposed to share. And that doesn't have to be online. That can be with a neighbor. That can be at the next bingo. If you share, what I've learned from this is I actually don't have much value on institutions anymore, because I studied psychology for a long period. I had top doctors. The value I hold on, like, and this is why I do podcasts, on someone's experience, like, that is the actual career path people should be taking. Like, as in, people can get online and go, I'm a mystic, I'm a survivor of cancer, I survived rafting and had a near-death experience. That's your career. Where that splits from is what we're supposed to be doing. And as I said, that doesn't have to be online. I've said online, but it can be it starts with a neighbor. I mean, for me, it was just even sharing in psych units at the start, right?
And another thing about you, Sky also, she shares, but she also is really good at listening. Like, you're such a good listener. Like, you pick up on things, and that's huge too. Just like listening, which she is really, really, really good at. And you have that compassion for the other person too, because you've been through so much. So you can listen too. Sharing is good. Sharing is everything too, but listening is also really being there to be the listener is so powerful as well. You get a lot out of that.
Oh, thank you. I will say, going through a lot, and anybody listening who's been through a lot would understand that as well, is the compassion that you'll have for another person. And if you get angry at another person, this is the other thing I've learned since coming out the other side of that, is I'm just about to experience some work that has to be done. Like, if I see a comment, or I'm talking to someone and I feel triggered in some way, I can think in the moment, no matter what I want to think, that this is a them problem. It's completely a me problem. It's always a me problem. Like, that's part of coming out. There's no victim here. Like, as in, if somebody even, like, they're going through something and they're meant to come to me and meant to bring something up in me, and within about 2 weeks, I know where the work's supposed to go. That's the other thing I've learned about this journey. It's all me.
It's all you.
It's all me.
Everything you say, if it triggers you, it's you.
It's me. We were even saying that everybody is everybody. It's like what the Awakening Jim Carrey had, where he all of a sudden came out and he said, I am you and you are me. We are all one person. Everyone said, oh, you're batshit crazy. He's not. That's source life. We're not split. The more you think you're split, the further away you are
We're
from that.
so connected.
We are. Anyway, you bring these
So,
cards. Where do
be
people start?
spontaneous is
Oh,
for
that's
all of us.
perfect.
Be spontaneous.
Yeah, that will get you further. Like, just be like, I will feel like doing this and that.
Yes, I feel like sharing today, so I'm going to make a YouTube post. I'm going to go on my stories and share a story. So be spontaneous, no fear and spontaneity.
But also that can be like you wake up and you have a calling to tell your neighbor about something
Yes.
that happened to you, or be like something inspired, like you have that calling. Don't shut that down. That's the life, that's the source, that's the stuff. Because then we go, oh, I should read about it, or maybe I'll go and watch a television program. But if you had that and you went and sat in the sun and your neighbor came out, you'd be yapping to your neighbor instead of being like, here we're all online, I'm trying to spread the message, but like, you know what I mean? Like, be spontaneous. If you feel a calling to play tennis today, if you feel a calling, I feel like that's so important.
Or if you have an idea, you just do it. Like if my neighbor had cancer a while ago, and I had a big thing of oranges, and I felt like making orange juice for them, so I did. And it was the best thing I could have done. The old me wouldn't have, because I would have been too shy, but I just did it. I made the orange juice. I stuck it on the porch, and I rang the doorbell, and I left. So do it, do the thing, because maybe that's just the thing that they need. They may be like lonely. They want someone to talk to. By you coming over and sharing, it might be just the thing that they want. Or they have the same thing going on as you do, and you go and you share your story, and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel the exact same way. And then you strike up a friendship. So be spontaneous with it. Just do it.
Do you know what that's making me think about, Marabella, is just say, I know this is just changing it a little bit, but this is how it works. So just say I was going through all of my hard times where I'm literally hanging on by a thread emotionally and psychologically. And I'm like, I don't want to be here. And all of a sudden I'm in a hospital at this time, because a lot of this was happening in a psych hospital. And I open it and there's a gift there. And I'll be like, okay, universe is talking. Like, you don't know. And I'll tell you another one. This is a good one. So there was a guy who was actually driving to go end his life. We have a radio show here. Well, it's not here anymore. It's called Kyle and Jackie O. And this person rung up and said he was driving to go end his life. And when he felt so this is very similar to where I was. Not that I was thinking of ending my life, but where these thoughts would start to come up, where can I be here anymore? This has been too much. Is that on the way to go, a person with a stop sign smiled at this person. So this person felt invisible and nobody had recognized or acknowledged. And so he's driving to actually end his life. And one of the stop people came out, said stop, and smiled, like looked at it and smiled, and he didn't end his life. And today he started a new business. I was getting chills. Get started a business. You don't know when you're going to change somebody's life. That's the thing. When you think you're going to change, this is what I do, is most of the messages I get are never when I sat down and went, I made a video on how you're going to change your life. They're always like, Sky, I watched this video of yours, and there's a part in it where you say, and it resonated with the right person. And they're like, and from that point, I've been a raw vegan. And so just do it.
Yes. This is so like a mystical thought, but when you get that idea, sometimes it's the universe that puts that, or God that puts the idea in your head, and then you are carrying it out. And it is just like you said, just what the other person needs to see or needs to hear. You may never get a reaction back. You may never know that you've affected the person, but you may have affected them on such a deep, deep, deep level. And if you weren't spontaneous, then you would never know.
That's what I think, you pulling out that card, that we miss the more that we are connected to screens, is that our attention, instead of, because remember having the FND and that other experience, when I talk, all I did is feel. That's how I knew the raw foods worked. All I could do is feel its effects. I couldn't go read. I didn't go talk to somebody. There was no distraction. And I feel like these things come up. And this is where a lot of anger and fighting online comes in. And I just see it and I go, I don't get it. A lot of the time, especially when you come off the back of that, you literally don't get it. Until you get involved and you actually think, see, we're placing a value on something which has no value. What other people say and do really has no effect on you more than reflection. As in, a lot of people hear we place this value that this doctor's done this speech, right, that some water is going to save our life. And we start placing this value. And Dr. Moss talks about this, is the reason we struggle is we start putting value on things, right? When you only value what you feel in reflection to what you see, you can make better choices. And that may be like, Marabella and I love green juice, right? We're like green juice. And so people watching, and this, I don't like the word influencer, but they see it and they're like, oh, green juice must be the answer, right? But you have green juice and you start having a whole lot of symptoms. People who hold more value on Marabella and I than themselves will go, oh, it's detox, I've got to push through, and they get sicker. They'll get more symptoms and they're like, oh no, it must come eventually, right? But what if in that moment you go, you know what, I prefer some grapes in mine. Like, I love what Marabella and I do, but I really like grapes. That value you're reasserting to yourself. And we all need to get back to that.
Yes.
That's what being connected to the sun versus connected to a screen does. You really value being grounded, being connected to the sun, filling with raw food. Is you need to look at the world and take in the information, but place it, like, be like, how does that, it's not, I don't have, this isn't the answer. How does this apply in my life? Like, I'm just going to have a bit more greens, or I don't like greens might be the answer, but we need to put the value back on that inner voice.
Yes. Tuning into your own intuition and doing what's right for you, like being your own guru, your own mystic.
Yes, be your own guru.
Being around people that raise your vibration and listening to what they do, but running it through your own intuition to see if it'll work for you. 100%.
I want to see this. Okay, I had a terrible week at one point. I randomly commented on one of Jillian Berry's posts about something completely different, and she replied and sees me as if she knew. She helped me so much. Oh my God, I'm going to share that with her. Where's my phone?
She will love that. I'm so glad.
And that's it, right? She might have been like, helping, making dinner for the kids or something, and then she sees a comment and she goes, I'll reply. And you never know when you're going to change somebody's life. Like, you never know.
And that, hearing that from you, her hearing that will make her day. So thank you for sharing that, because now it'll get back to her and it just keeps getting better and better.
It does, because when people share, and usually it comes later when people are like, they might have, you reflect back and you're like, I'll read. And then you get the spontaneous urge to write to somebody and say thank you. And then we hear that, and then they're the messages that I'm usually like, Mom, look, I'm like, Mom, look, I helped somebody. It's not like I'm like, hey, look, I made this much money today, or hey, look, I'm jetting off here. It's usually what my heart just starts going, I'm so glad that I can is these messages.
The messages are the best things for me too, when I hear something or somebody shares something with me, or just one little thing, like something little, like, oh, when you added that ingredient, I tried it too and I really liked it and it made me feel so good, or just any little thing like that. I love that too. That's my favorite.
Yes, I think because we're out here being ourselves, and when people like, thank you for being yourself, it makes you be more yourself.
I'll share a really cute, fun thing the other day on your birthday, Sky. When I went to my grandson's swimming lessons, he didn't see me coming, and I was in my husband's truck. He didn't see me, but when I pulled up, he knew I was coming, but he didn't know when I was going to be there. And he was swimming and he said, it's my Mimi, it's my Mimi. He was in the pool swimming and he turned and saw me and he was like, that's my Mimi. She's here. My Mimi's here, Mimi. He was so excited to see me, and that made me so happy.
That joy that he's coming out of him, especially in kids, we see it more, is a complete reflection of the imprint that you've had on him. So like all the little times that, well, I say little, all the times you put him to bed, all the times that you've made him food, all the times you've given him big hugs, all the times you've smiled at him. And then when somebody says, Mimi's coming, and he sees you, you represent, you're a bubble of like all of that, right? And that's what I want to be for the world, is I want to be, I want to try and be the best version of me. So people like see me on screen and they're like, they think of that. Like they get Mimi. Like, Sky,
it's Sky. Yay, it's Sky. I do when I see you. I'm like, yay, it's Sky.
Oh, I'm like that too. I love that. Oh, I hope this has helped people, but I think that card is right. Be more spontaneous. Like our feelings are so special, right? Like when we have, it's the original. Like we got these urges to do all of these
and
things.
and the breaking free.
And I think spontaneity will help you break free. So someone said, I'm new to Raw. I struggle to get enough energy on Raw as I'm an athlete. And this feeds back to I'm going to set up the first week of October, which is technically the second week because the first week of October is only a couple of days in the week. But it'll start, I think, the 6th of October.
September, do you mean?
October.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a going raw beginners week, a raw, because I feel like a lot of the podcasts I've done deal with specific topics, but a lot of it I think reflects 5 years of being raw, whereas a lot of people just want to know how you go raw. And I think that, and I've been thinking about the themes I want to bring up, and still nothing changes to the point, and this is where social media changes actually how we do things, is that there's no fast track way to do it or perfect way for everybody. Like if you're an athlete, see, the other thing that's come up about raw foods, and I'll talk more on this, is people think if they can include cooked foods that it's a bad thing. And my thoughts on this, and always have been, is if your body can tolerate high raw, you're a healthier person. So if I'm been through a lot, my body can't tolerate the density, and I don't know if it will. But what I notice about people, athletes in particular, might be a good case for this, where you do all raw and you need and your body can assimilate more density. Like you might have a pasta meal at night, raw till 4. It's not that you're doing it wrong or you're a bad person. If your body can tolerate that and you get even better levels, and this is why I'm bringing Matt Bennett on. Because I saw Matt Bennett with Kiko, who's raw nutrition, and before I was about to jump on my own podcast, and I was like, damn, he looks really healthy. I need to get him on. And then I got on the podcast and someone goes, oh, Matt Bennett is eating some cooked food at night now.
I do that too, especially in the winter, in the fall and winter.
And to me, it's not that these people who do that usually haven't had extensive chronic illness. Right. And this is something I'm starting to see more and more.
It makes sense to me to eat seasonally. It makes sense to me to eat more cooked in the winter and the fall when it's cold, and then to do like high raw or all raw in the summer. It makes sense to me to have more fruit in the summer.
And I think the other thing I worked hardest on, and you'll love this, Marabella, when I went raw and I changed my life, is seeing the positivity in everything. So I will, because if I feel good, I do good, I get good and move forward.
Yes.
And this isn't people say that can be toxic positivity. That doesn't exist if you've resolved the issue. So if you say something's good when in spite of you feeling it bad, that's not happening for me. I am literally feeling the experience as good. I've resolved it. They say transform it, as opposed to accept it at that initial emotion. Because every time I start to feel bad, the whole day starts to go bad. My mood starts to go bad.
Yes.
Everything that comes on, including when you get into an argument with somebody, I sit down and go, I will learn this lesson. Like this is like, the more I transfer things into a positivity. So if you're somebody who is doing 4 till 4 and you're doing amazing, don't be like, I can't get to raw. I can't get to raw. This person who's doing raw and they're an athlete may need more energy that your stomach can't assimilate with the way raw food is, that you need to have some level of density. I don't know if that's the case. Everybody's different, but you need to find where you sit. I'm always changing, like where I sit with raw.
Right. And I think it's in the intention. You have a choice in how you look at things. So you can look at things in a positive or a negative. Sometimes you enter a situation and it can be negative. Like you feel negative about it, but you can start slowly, like, how is this for me? How can I start to see a silver lining? Maybe this isn't ideal, but how could this work out? Because a lot of times what we think is negative in the end works out really well for the positive. Like it'll just shift if we're open to it. So we don't have to come in with that fake, like, this is really horrible, but I'm going to pretend it's good. You can come in with that. I'm open to see where this can be positive. I'm open to that, so that you can keep your day on a good trajectory. And I think that's the same way with, like, eat with our diets. Yeah, a lot of times we do, like, I love that all raw feeling. There's nothing better than all raw, especially high fruit. But sometimes high fruit for days and days isn't sustainable for me for certain reasons, like and for lots of different reasons, but sometimes it is. So I will do high fruit for as long as I can until I can't, but then there's no shame or no guilt in it. You do what you can when you can, and you do what you need to do for the situation. Maybe you have a day where you do have high raw, which means you have some cooked, and then the next day you go back to raw. So there's so many different scenarios, and it's different for everyone. You can't, it drives me crazy when people are so militant. It has to be a certain way or you're doing it wrong. We're all so different. There's no two people that are alike. There's no two diets that are alike. You have to find your particular way that's going to work for you.
I think that's really important. Also, people need to know as above, so below. And what that means is you have to, you're a reflection of your environment, right? So if you are like me, and it's winter and you're indoors and you're around a whole lot of lights, and I'm not getting out as much for walks, I'm not getting in the ocean as much, is my diet will reflect that, because you have to match the frequency that you're at. Now, when I'm in Thailand, or if you keep pushing through, you're going to have to move somewhere that reflects more light. Like,
Yes.
when I did all fruit, I could not concentrate on work. My whole brain just constantly wanted to be at the beach. And I guess that's what Dr. Moss said, where he wanted to help people and he couldn't when he's freaking eating oranges and dancing around God's world. And that's not a bad thing. We classify it as bad. This earth is here to explore, life is here to explore itself, right? And you will have to eat accordingly to experience a certain level of density. And I think the more you get in tune with what works for you and you see it as a good thing, like, hello, 99.999999999, that goes on and on and on, could not eat raw till 4, could not eat or even sustain one raw meal a day. Most people, like, for a whole year, raw is like one of those things where you take it as you leave it. But also there's a psychology to it as well, where if you eat only fruit and you feel lack, but you eat fruit and you have a dinner of greens and cooked veggies and you feel more content. I feel like my story even resonates with that I was telling today, where I'm like, all I wanted was myself back. Like, these ideas of what we find as happiness have to come into play. It's not just that fruit is best. You can feel really good, but even when you feel like really light energy, if you start feeling lack, you start pulling lack, you start making decisions from lack. And I think each person gets, like, we're here to make the decision ourselves. When you realize you're the keeper of your kingdom, like,
Yes.
you do you.
You're the keeper of your kingdom. I love that.
So it says, thank you. Yeah, my body crashed when I went all raw. I love the feeling when I'm on raw, but my body may not be able to handle it in this stage. And there is stages to it. Like, I only find that, like, what I call light packet raw, where there's no tamari, no dehydrated food. It's basically fruit, coconut water, green juice, even vegetables are light packets. I've had to spend a majority of my day outside. Like, if I look back, and I've been doing this for 5 years, is when I travel to Thailand and Bali, I start to get all these histamine symptoms as soon as I go inside. And I get really agitated when I'm on, like, all fruit. And grounding really balances, because I was talking about this yesterday about the electrical circuits of the human body. And this is why raw fruit does not work for people who are inside all the time. So see this electrical cord. So I don't think of humans as chemists. We are chemistry, we are biology, we are physics, but they're, to me, all compartmentalized. When I think of how do you explain a human, I think of electricity. And if you look at an electrical wire, it's not just the electricity. You need insulation. Okay, you need this grounding, this streamline effect of electricity. Otherwise, it arcs. Like, it'll literally just shoot out electricity and short circuit, right? So just say you're only putting electricity in and you're not grounding a circuit system. So you're only eating fruit, you're indoors all day, you're not doing any fats or greens to insulate cells and myelin sheath, you're just eating pure electricity, you will arc. You will have mood disturbances, symptoms. You will feel on edge. Your heart, you might have feel like your heart, you get racy
Yeah.
because of electricity in, but you're not grounding a system. Okay. And we have to always look when it comes to us for analogies outside. So to ground a system, you do need more minerals. The fats are going to create that grounding effect on our nerves. So our nerves are electricity. They have this insulation called a myelin sheath, which is built from fats. Essentially, it grounds better with omega-3 fats, which is, Dr. Brooke Goldner's work. The brain is fat. This grounding effect, if you start taking and stripping back, that's not when you first go raw and you want to do a cleanse. We're talking if you keep stripping the body, you will arc. You will just be this.
Yeah.
And, so I think that is why at different times you need different things to keep the circuitry working.
Balance,
baby.
Balance, yes.
All right. Okay, well, we've gone well over. We've almost done 2 hours.
Wow. This is so much fun, you guys.
All right. Okay, so next week's theme in general, next week isn't the week of being raw, but I've kind of kept a podcast theme running next week of our experiences when we start raw. Like I'm doing that with JJ and Kiko. So maybe we share that part of our life. Like the going raw week will be in October, but I thought we can do some warm up with our experiences next week.
Let's do it. Let's do our experiences when we went raw and how it affected like our spirituality.
I love that.
That would be
I
so
love
fun.
that. Okay, I love you too, Cranberry. Thanks for joining. Thanks everybody for joining. We will be back next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.